Hello and welcome, hope you are doing well, and in this video I'll be showing you all 6 of the legendary weapons that are available to craft in the first half of Season 1, 2 of which you will need to upgrade from the blue tier, while the other 4 legendaries are standalone. So without further ado, let's get to it. Now, the first of the bunch is a dark sword. These things are pretty good. They deal roughly 700 damage per hit, and the first skill is summoning 3 tornadoes. These tornadoes are pretty good. They can deal 1000 damage each, and you can deal roughly 3000 if you hit all 3. And well, they travel fast and they have a pretty good area, so pretty good. Now the second skill. Turn the area into a dark pit for 9 seconds, dealing 390 damage per second and heal for 55 HP per enemy hit. I think it is alright, but it is quite situational. Now the third and final skills of this sword is firing this beam. The beam can deal up to 10,000 damage in 3 seconds, and on top of that you also get 15% lifesteal from all the damage done by the beam, making this one of the deadliest skill out of all weapons. Next on the list is this fire hammer, which deals 800 damage per hit on average, with the third hit dealing 1100 damage. You also replenish more mana compared to other weapons. And the first skills of this hammer is sending a massive shockwave in front of you, dealing 1500 damage on average to all enemies hit. Now onto the second skills of the hammer. Once activated, you will leave a trail of fire wherever you walk for 9 seconds, dealing a pretty decent damage and will be good when kiting enemies around. Now onto the third and final skills of the hammer. Once activated, you will slam onto the ground and creating 8 explosive projectiles in all directions, each dealing 350 damage on average, and can be quite effective if used correctly. This next one is an ice axe with 610 average damage per hit, fast attack speed, plus defensive and close range skills, making this axe excellent for tanks. The first skills of this axe deal damage in a cone shaped area in front and knocking enemies back, dealing roughly 400 damage. The second skills of this axe increase your defense by about 50%, once again making an excellent weapon for tank builds. The third and final skills of this axe call in a blizzard, which deals 600 damage per second for 6 seconds in a rather large area. Once again, excellent for frontliner and tanks like Guardian or Sentinel. Now, this next weapon you have to unlock by beating the Saga mode boss 5 times. I have a video which has tricks on how to beat it. I will leave them in the description. Anyway, this sword is a non-elemental, which means there will be no bonus damage or penalty. And as it is the harder hitting weapon in this game with 800 damage per hit on average, you won't need any bonuses. Now the skills. And the first skills of this sword is drawing out 3 explosive rocks in a short range, each dealing 1100 damage. And you can also try to hit all 3 on the same target, doing the full 3300 damage. Now the second skill. Allow you to pounce on your target, dealing up to 1600 damage in the area you land, but it is quite clunky to use and often you won't land on your intended target. Now, the last skills of this sword is an area damage, dealing anywhere from 2000 to 3600 damage depending on the enemy. It does look kinda cool, but there's nothing special about this one. Now, this next one is a lightning sword, which automatically makes it one of the best weapons to defend your village with, since it is more effective against those health things, and it dealing 700 damage per hit on average is pretty good for a sword. The first skills of this sword is this spinny sweeping move that would deal around 1400 damage with a pretty impressive area. The second skill is an AoE heal, which heal 300 HP every 2 seconds for 10 seconds, which total up to 1500 HP. which I'm sure I don't need to go on about how excellent and amazing that is. The last skill is of this sword, calling a thunder strike in an area. Total of 5 strike in 5 seconds with 580 average damage. Now, the final weapon. A bow with a good raw damage, but questionable skills. With 700 damage on average while aiming and drawing properly, the damage is actually quite good. And the first skill that you might have seen there is a knockback arrow dealing up to 1100 damage. Can be quite useful. Now, for the most useless skill of all, the leash arrows. So, the first shot will do half the arrow damage, half the normal arrow damage, and give you 30% life steal. And then for every second, 20% of that damage will heal you. And to be honest, it was so little. It's so useless. I don't know. Yeah, I just hate it. I absolutely hate it. Now, the last of all, calling it a barrage of arrows from above, dealing 700 damage per second for 6 seconds. Could be good, but a bit too situational, and you really have to use it properly to be effective. And that's it for all the legendaries. Hope this video is not too bad and actually help you out somewhat. Leave a like if you think it's fine, a dislike is also welcome. Thank you once again for watching, and I might see you again. Have a good one. Bye bye.